Everywhere could be seen traces of the carnage. Hundreds of dead horses, still unburied, lay on the field. And in boggy places and spots distant from the town, many of the men were still unburied. Hey there, welcome to Headlines and Voices, where we look at amazing newspaper articles from American history. And some of these articles are well over a century old. And the article we have today is incredible. It's about the Battle of Gettysburg, or what the battlefield looked like. It's a first-hand account of what the battlefield looked like after the battle was over. Before I jump into it, I want to mention that this show is sponsored by Audio Mover. Audio Mover is the company that takes your old audio and videotapes and converts them into digital. And you can learn more about it at audiomover.com. If you have audio and videotapes, they're deteriorating as we speak, and it's a great idea to get them converted into digital, a permanent archive, a permanent format. And if you go to audiomover.com, in checkout, if you put in the word headlines, you can get 15% off your order. So anyway, that's audiomover.com. And of course, if you like history, things like we're doing here, please like this video and share your thoughts. Comment down below. There's all kinds of things that you'll probably want to say after you hear this. And of course, follow our channel as well. So this article that we're going to look at in this episode is from the Alexandria Gazette on July 11th, 1863. And I think you'll find this really fascinating. The field of battle near Gettysburg, Pennsylvania. My visit to the field was made this Tuesday morning, and it presented a wonderful, though sorrowful, spectacle for the curious. Most of the dead had been buried, but many were still lying about. Few, however, being Federal soldiers. Every fence was knocked down, and every house or shed upon the field or around it had its windows shattered, its walls torn out, and its roof in tatters. The fences had all been torn down by passing and repassing troops, or else they had been carried off bodily to make barricades or breastworks. The stones previously scattered over the surface of the ground had been collected in piles for rifle pits. Nearly every tree had limbs torn from it, and all bore marks of bullets. Some had their bark stripped off in shreds by the wind of passing shells. The ground was tramped into a bog and was covered with every conceivable thing. Old broken muskets, bayonets and ramrods, pieces of wagons, broken wheels, cartridge boxes, torn clothing, blankets, fragments of shells, and sometimes unexploded ones. Bullets, cartridges, powder. Everything used in war or by soldiers was scattered around in plenty. The grain and grass, which once grew there, was almost ground to a jelly. Everywhere could be seen traces of the carnage. Hundreds of dead horses, still unburied, lay on the field. And in boggy places and spots distant from the town, many of the men were still unburied. There's something impressive about a dead man on a battlefield. To see him lying there with his hands clenched, his teeth set, and his limbs drawn up, with ramrod or musket firmly held, lying just as he was standing when the fatal bullet struck him, teaches a sad lesson. To see scores of them is more impressive, and that with the awful desolation and havoc and ruin on all sides shows far too plainly for delicate sense the terrible end of battle. To know that at this fence where so many lie, a tug of war was had for hours. To feel that tree whose bark is stripped off, showing red stains on the inner wood, has received the gushing blood of some poor soldier, is by far the best teacher of war's evils. And when, after all is over, men still lie on the damp ground, undisturbed as they fell, with hawks and crows and buzzards sailing lazily over them. Their countenances bearing an expression of horror as the blaring, bloodshot eyes, the blackened face, and the contorted features torn up towards you when all this is seen, and the fact that thousands like them have lain there before is impressed upon the mind. A remembrance is left which cannot be effaced. Sermons and precepts may be exhausted in vain, but the lesson taught by a dead man slain in battle, lying in his gore, is worth 10,000 holiday exhortations. Yet many look upon it without emotion. Many walked about amid the horrid stench of that field unmoved. They turned over the rubbish, picked up bullets and fragments of shells for mementos, but that was all. All over the field there are newly made graves. There are long rows of them parallel to each other where the Federal soldiers lie. Where the carnage has been great, a trench receives the remains of all. They are thrown in indiscriminately without burial service or coffin. I find that article absolutely fascinating, listening to somebody's eyewitness account of what it was like after the battle at Gettysburg. If you like hearing things like this, we ask you to like this video, follow our channel, and I'm sure you have something to say about this. Please leave a comment down below about what your thoughts about this whole thing. And thank you for watching. Headlines and Voices is sponsored by Audio Mover, the company that takes your history, your old audio and videotapes, and converts them into digital. Visit audiomover.com to learn more. Headlines and Voices is a production of Thick and Mystic Media. Visit thickandmystic.com.